We hope that it's fixed. We pray. We pray for times like this. If this is not fixed, I'm gonna be a bit angry here. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Oh my god. Still happening. Right, we have one last stroll of the day. All right, it's lagging, mate. Ah, fuck. I don't know how to solve this. I generally a bit of a thing. I can't see my own screen, so I mean, like, as in, I can't check it. Be what a chilly when in New Orleans. It's okay. If it's not okay, please tell me because I've been trying to fix it the whole time and I haven't been able to look at quality at all. So just yes, and Spaffis coming into the pits. That's him done for qualifying. Probably comes out. He's on pole position as it stands. Donkey down on an out lap. Stav as well. We're gonna go down to Atosso coming into the pits as well. McManaman on his lap time now as well. Got to the McLaren of Billy. He's on a lap time. No, he's coming into the pits. Kai. He's spun, so he won't set a lap time. Go down to James the Eagle. The latecomer here. Moves up the P6, drops Kai and place down. Up Kai is out of the session as well. Donkey Dan on his just about makes his out lap in the Haas, holding him up there. That's gonna be a bit. All right, it's good. All right. keep on tabs with Donkey Dan, but we also got 10K to look out for at McManaman. Goes to 10K. He moves up into P3. A tenth off Donkey Dan. Donkey Dan spins. So unless McManaman can set something, no, he's going to invalidate it that time as well. So that's it. Spaffis is on pole position for the Hungary Grand Prix. We've got Donkey Dan in P2, 10K P3. Seems like a decent enough showing for the Williams. Staff down in P4. Not the best for the current leader in the championship. McManaman P5, an improvement. We've seen P6 James the Eagle coming in for that last lap, dropping Kai to P7. Afansiu goes down to P8, racing Ryan, James Eagle's teammate, down in P9, and Hammers running up the P10 position. We've got Billy, Kanitsos, and Nathaniel, who failed to set a lap time down at P13. And there you have it. That is our qualifying session done. It was a very, I'm not gonna lie, a terrible qualifying session for the streams, and I apologize. I never know why this computer does not seem to just pick a preset and keep it. I need a bunch of test streams coming up just to fix it. We got some skipped frames. I don't know why. I don't know how to fix it. Can't be asked. Clearly not. I don't want it to be that's the problem. That's what it is. 60 FPS. Go down here real quick. I don't know if this is gonna change anything. I don't want this. It says here thing 720. Why are you higher? I don't want you to be that much. 30 FPS, bro. Capture audio. Yeah. I'm ready for the race. Hopefully, we got the wets. We got the wets out for today. Interesting enough. Spicing up this race just a bit. Can we see an upset today? Can we see someone break that Williams Mercedes battle that's been going on? We'll have to wait and see. Gonna have to find out. Have to watch to find out. So yeah, I'm a bit under the weather. So as the drivers are now setting their final changes to their setup, probably why some drivers probably had a bit of a slower qualifying session, swapping over to that wet setup. Obviously going to be a slower time on that dry qualifying session, but always a fun one this is. So it seems like it's going to be an interweather. We go down to the tires. Everyone's on inters. Alright, everyone's on inters. It doesn't seem like it's raining too heavily yet. We haven't got any information for any full wets as of yet. Because Spaffis is going to need to really get the heat into these tires if he's going to want a quick getaway here. Now, turn one here is a tight one. Hungary often correlated to Monaco just without the walls, without how narrow these sectors are. Especially sector 2 is basically just one racing line you can take, and it's very hard to overtake in that sector, but it's not impossible. Under these conditions, you got to be a bit more wary, especially coming into that braking zone. We do not want to see a mosh pit. We do not want to see a Bahrain. Bahrain turn 1, ain't it? Ain't it? It's not what we need. Trust me, I would know. I feel like this place here is where we might see some of our overtakes today. Donkey Dan, you know what though? He's got a real opportunity here, as we're going to give a quick rundown of our current situation here in Division 2. If I can get it up real quick for you guys. Yep, so we have Stav out in front as it stands, and Spaff is in P2, but Donkey Dan could see himself in a position to overtake Spaffis if he does win this race, and Spaffis drops down a bit more positions. But anyway, the lights are about to come down here in Hungary. It's a wet race here today, and it's lights out and away we go. It seems like Spaffis got a great start there. Another great start for 10K coming through Donkey Dan. Donkey Dan stays on the outside line. And we have some real big movements. Finally pairing up into P8 already. Donkey Dan overtakes 10K together. It was a bit of an inter-battle go there. Hammers down to P12. Not something that he wants to see already here. Fanny Perrin making some real moves. We're going to go down now with Racing Ryan. He takes the inside line. I think he's ahead of Racing Ryan there. Fantastic start by Nathaniel Perrin. On his return race as well. After being so long out. Kind of really make a staple in this division again. Billy moving up to P6 as well. Moving up 4 places. Kai dropping down all the way to P13. James the Eagle as well having a terrible start down to P16. And dropping all the way down to the bottom back of the grid. Not stuff you want to see, but Nathaniel Perrin and these two. Oh, and he's touched. Oh, that's a collision. That's a big collision. And I'm not sure what happened there, but that seems like a front wing damage to Kalitsos. I don't know if Hammers got the butt end of that. Let's check out this damage on these cars. It seems like the Alpine has not suffered anything. And I think maybe, yeah, I don't know about this Alpine though. Yep, no front wing for Hammers. That's. I'm not sure what happened there, to be honest. Well, that's another dreadful start here for Hammers. As James Eagle comes to the pits, probably due to some damage as well. Keep tabs on that. Come over to see James Eagle real quickly, see what is the situation with the Haas driver. We've already got some big changes already, got 3 pitters already. Yeah, and here's a front wing change for Hammers as well. And for the Red Bulls, that's 3 wings. Ironic, the Red Bulls wings have been clipped here in the first lap. But back on the racing here in Hungary. I just said a great start for this driver over here, Nathaniel Perrin, moving up to P8 from all the way back. Obviously didn't set a quality time, crashed out in the beginning of the session. Ahead of his close rival, Kai. Obviously these two great good friends in real life. But on the track here, it's all about competition. There's no teammates here. Oh, and he spun! And speaking of it, Kai has spun and he's out of the session. And that's going to be a safety car, surely. Yep. And that's a safety car, and he spun on the exit there, coming into the beginning of Sector 3. And that's Kai out. I caught that quite at literally exact time. Commentator's curse comes into effect fully. And that safety car coming out. Obviously, no need. And I actually feel bad for those people who pitted from before. Needed to pit. And yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. And that's our get another view of this crash over here. I think it's been taken off. So, safety car ready. Great start by Lunatic Kai. Not sure if he's caused a collision there as well. May have. It was all back, to be fair to, so. Kai obviously in. Where's Lunatic Kai? Obviously P21. That one was a mess. Yeah, that one was a big mess. Can't lie. You're facts right there. So Kai obviously 21st in division, obviously having 1 point finish here in Monza. Obviously not how he would have wanted this race. Was the back I have to avoid someone? Yeah, I know. That was that massive collision there. I'm not sure how that happened. But yeah, it was a bit of a pile up there. Close to a pile up, could have been messy. More than it already was. Obviously Spaffis is 5 points. 6 points away from his teammate Stav, who's down in P7, having a very bad start, to be honest. I was going to say borderline terrible start, but obviously not that bad, and has the opportunity to move up into first in the Drivers' Championship. In a really good position here, but Donkey Dan is going to want to say something. Wanted to say something about that. As far as I know, of course. Stav paused it. Ain't going to be good then. Ain't going to be that good, Chief, then. Obviously, looking like a 2-3 for the Williams now, as it stands. Be a hell of a good point session for them. D. McManaman 5th in the Drivers' Championship, can't really move up. But it'd be good to see him probably challenge for a podium position today, given the conditions as well. Anything can happen. Nathaniel 7th, obviously hasn't raced since Australia, where he finished. He did finish on the podium there, P3, his first race back in 6 races. And does still have the opportunity to move ahead of Adam Ty and possibly D. McManaman. Obviously, championship is out of contention for him. But just to move back up in those positions is will be an accomplishment, I think, for the Mr. Consistent, as he's known here in the DTR world. His Hammer's up in P9 as well, but having a very bad start to these last 2 races, to be honest with you. All the way from the I just want to look at the constructors really quickly, just to give you an idea of how that's going on. We have the Mercedes with a 272, around 66 points ahead of the Williams out in second place. Obviously, they had a fantastic showing here in Portimao. I think they got a 1-2 there. I'm not sure, actually. I could be tripping. But they got 24 points more than them. And we are going to be under racing, or we'll be racing again here under the restart. Obviously, no overtaking until we pass the checkered line. Obviously, Ferrari out of that position. And you know what? If the Williams can hold up a good position here today, they could be put their constructors back on track. And Donkey Dan, Spaff is using all his ERS trying to defend an attack down from Donkey Dan. He's going to have to fend them off for now, and I think he has. Obviously, remember, no DRS under these conditions, so it's just going to be the pure skill of behind the wheel and your ERS. We have just Donkey Dan on that pursuit, trying to take first place for the Williams today. But Nathaniel Perrin, though, 3/10 behind Stab, is something to look back on as well. Same as James the Eagle. Keep tabs on that. Spaff seems to be just breaking away just a little bit, but we'll keep eyes on that. As Billy seems to be making a move, well, trying to make a move down on the Ferrari of McManaman. As long as we can avoid any collisions, we're fine. But he is the closest out of anyone on the track to make a move, and we're going to stick with him. Oh, he's going to be careful there. Nearly lost the rear, it seemed like. Pushing heavy with the ERS early on here. Not thinking primarily about the long term of this race. And Perrin, not dash the look, if you see that, the back of that Mercedes basically touching his rear end. Be a bit faster than that car on the corners. Fabius obviously setting fastest lap in session and nearly building that 1 second lead already. Donkey Dan just after a lap after restart. He's gonna be careful here, Spaffis, you know. Can't get too overconfident. Anything can happen under these conditions. I'm not too sure if we are expecting this rain to stop, or is it just gonna be wets the whole race. We'll have to see. Right now, it's just every car behind each other, just one big pile up. Billy regaining ever so close to that Ferrari. Having a better drive, seems like. Careful on the braking there. Racing Ryan Perrin. Stav overtakes Racing Ryan, and Racing Ryan has been overtaken again. Mighty Alpine has a double overtake to Racing Ryan. Wet all race, thank you, Kai, from inside the cockpit there, giving us his views on what's happening. Obviously, some of these drivers are having the best of starts. We go Park, typically James the Eagle dropped down 4 places. Hammers as well, 2 places, 2 of the probably unlikeliest drivers out here. I think seems to be settling in. Everyone's slowly building those gaps away from each other. So 1.1 between first and second, and another 1.1 between second and third. We go Wheaton side to side. It seems like that Haas and over gets the move done, and it's going back to back. We have the Red Bull trying to get a move down the inside, but I think the Haas does the better drive and sticks that move ahead of him. Stays in front so far, but is pushing hard, this Red Bull. Gotta be careful though, because a mistake would prompt an attack from Hammers, which is which is like also the gate between him and points. Something he will not want to lose out on, of course. Billy out in losing a lot of time there, Billy. Dropping to nearly a second behind McManaman. 10K as well has cut his time down by half a second basically. I think a lot of these cars set up was differently. Certain sectors they are much better than each other. It seems like Donkey Dan probably is faster through sector 1 than 10K. 10K kind of gets up through the corners. I'm just not sure. We'll go with Billy, who has got a penalty. 3-second time penalty, obviously just due to track limits. As he is extremely close. He's trying to go around the outside, and he makes that move stick. Probably got off a bit of track there, but gets the move done, and Billy is up in P4. It's been a good showing right now from the McLaren driver. Obviously his teammate out of the race. And James the Eagle overtakes his teammate, Racing Ryan. Already goes up to 6/10 ahead. Interesting kind of events there. Not sure what quite happened. Stav as well, 2/10 behind the Ferrari of McManaman. As Hammers overtakes the Red Bull, and the Red Bull seems like there's a problem there with the Red Bull. Going extremely slow. I'm not sure if that was any collision there with Hammers or something, or just a spin. But Hammers moves up, and he says thank you very much, moves up into P10. He's in the points. In the wet race, anything can happen, you know, so you can't rule anything out. Just one safety car could change the fortunes for a lot of these drivers here today. The staff still holding on to that 3/10 advantage on Nathaniel Perrin, but Nathaniel Perrin seems to find some pace coming out of that corner. A much quicker drive. Gotta be careful not to get a spin a place where we've seen a lot of accidents happen already. Seems like he's getting the better drive, the Alpine driver. Pushing that car to its limits under these conditions. Oh, good careful there. Seemed like he was about to lose the rears just a little bit. Again, seems like he's getting a much better drive through the corner. It seems like he's gaining a lot of an advantage through some of these corners, just not as much on the straight. Again, a tricky track to overtake here. It's not one we're going to see a lot of overtakes happening on. The staff 2/10 behind McManaman. Could I be eyeing up a move? Trying to take that inside line. She can't quite get the length from that car. But as he taps the back of that Ferrari, he's got to be careful here not to cause any collisions. The Ferrari seems like he's lost the rears a bit there. He's got to be careful. He sees I've got a quicker drive. He's going to try to take the inside line. The Ferrari is starting to pull away there. He's gone wide there. He's got to increasingly increase his time. I can't even speak English right now. But not enough for Mercedes to capitalize on. You see the battle ahead from on board with Nathaniel Perrin. Just McManaman seems like he's a bit faster on the straights here. Nathaniel Perrin's going to be careful for an attack from James the Eagle. He's caught up extremely well to the pace of that Alpine car. Only 3/10 behind us. One big pile-up it seems like right now between these four cars. Not much to report home from the top of the grid. But again, here we see again the Dix 2 and the Stav gaining a lot of speed and a bit of late braking there. And he's going wheel to wheel with the Ferrari. And I think McManaman's holding out as a stand, but I think Ferrari's got the Mercedes got a better drive, and he moves up in the P5 as it stands, and I think he's made that move stick. Stavs up in the P5. He can now begin his chase of the McLaren of Billy. A crucial overtake there, to be honest with you, quite early on in this race for Stav. Maybe he's going to want to salvage as much as he can. Speaking of salvaging, Donkey Dan has brought his time down to less than a second behind Spaffis. And Nathaniel Perrin getting extremely close to the Ferrari there of McManaman. His rival right now in the driver's standings. An overtake here would be absolutely crucial to how his season will end. Keep tabs on that Donkey Dan telemetry. As he's keeping up with Spaffis. It's almost like keeping up with the Kardashians. And Nathaniel Perrin seems to like he's got the better drive, taking that inside line, and very, very calmly overtakes the Ferrari. That's Perrin up in the P6. And probably could have put the Ferrari in a bit of a hazardous zone and prone to an attack from the Haas. We keep tabs on that. Hammers a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Not something he wants to see. He is 6 seconds ahead of Kalexos, battle we were seeing last week. And that's it. James Egan trying to take the inside line. I think McManaman has the better track position there. Keeps ahead of the Haas. And it's a whole Ferrari battle going on here. McManaman already pulling, Perrin already pulling 1.2 seconds ahead of that Ferrari. Looking to be like a decent race from the Brit out here today. James Egan pushing hard. He wants to get that move done. Like using all of his ERS here. Hammer's coming into the pits. We will keep an eye on what tires he goes for. Well, I mean, it's going to be for inters, surely, but on those fresh inters. Seems like to be a longer one, is it? Not sure if that was any damage to his wings or something. Can't really know. James the Eagle was just 2/10 behind Ferrari. Seems like he's flying a bit like an eagle right now. Stav overtakes Billy. Oh, Billy seems like he's had a problem here. He's got off extremely wide. Rejoins the track. Seems like there's not any damage to the car. That's good to know. But Billy's up down the P6. And that gives that hands position to Stav and Perrin. And Stav can now begin his pursuit of that podium position. An all-important podium position, might I add, in terms of in the Drivers' Championship. Perrin has brought that gap down to less than a second. Could he get that move done on Stav? He's really brought that gap down to 7/10 basically. Could be a phenomenal race if Perrin could actually salvage any like podium here from all the way back at the grid. Phenomenal drive from the start, best start of the race. Racing around just dropping off a bit of the pace of McManaman. Give some breathing. As I say that though, quite ahead. Oh, we've got a problem with Sector 2, and that's a Haas. And is that James the Eagle? Yes, he's spun. He's going to be careful on re-entry here. Let the cars by. That's good. Causing no collisions there. Haas rejoining. Drops all the way down to P11. Again, that little section of that track causing a lot of problems for a lot of drivers today. Tires are racing Ryan, trying to race with McManaman, using that corner to help him turn that car. Having a better drive, as it seems like. Probably a little bit more throttle behind that. It's slow on the throttle, it's going to cause him to cut down the time. And that's Billy out of the session. Oh, it's a big crash. A major crash. See him in the middle of the track. That's surely another safety car. I tell you what, this plays right in the hands for some of these top drivers right on the grid, giving them an opportunity to pit. Maybe. So not working in favor of Hammers and pitting very early. Maybe the undercut works. I don't think it's in prime position though. I think we're going to see a bunch of drivers pit. I don't think these inters will last till the end of the race. Obviously, we can do a no stop since it's full wets. But yeah, Spaffis, Donkey Dan, 10K, all coming into the pits, presumably for a fresh set of inters. Give some time for Hammers to catch up with the back of the grid at least. Perrin pits. Stuff seems to be taking a bit longer than usual. Ooh, a slow pit stop for Stav, and that's Perrin moving up another position up in the P4. Interesting what happened there. I'm not sure how. Slow turn in, maybe. Right, that's Perrin up in the P4. So, just to recap what's going on, Spaff is pretty much dominating the whole race. Hasn't been in any any scares or any like rude pressure coming in, but this could change from this restart. Obviously, Donkey Dan's going to need to increase that pressure. He's going to need to push a bit harder now. Probably could go to the end of the race on these tires. If he's pushing it. Depends how good he is on tire wear. 10k, but the real main talking point here, obviously, both McLarens are out. An absolute mare for the English duo. And Perrin moving up from all the way from P13 up onto P4. And in a shot on those fresh inters to move into those podium positions. Now let's be honest. If Perrin here gets a podium, is clearly driver today. Because that's a phenomenal drive. Stav is gonna want that more than anyone. Probably because Spaffis with this win moves into first place in the Drivers' Championship. Overtakes Stav. Only 6 points separating the two teammates. It's a full-on Hamilton-Rosberg type of situation. But if Stav most likely won't win the race, we don't know. As I said, plenty of laps left to go here in Hungary. But he's going to need to cut down as much as he can. He's going to have to push for that P podium. Probably needs to push for a P2 to kind of minimize the damage. And if he does finish P2, Spaffis goes ahead of him by 1 point. So it's going to be close come to the end of the season. He's doing that drivers. It seems like if Staff doesn't get podium, maybe it's back on for the Williams. But it's a long shot, and they really need to start picking up their performances here. They won't have any chance of a last-ditch constructors battle. In other news, practice is back tomorrow in actual F1. Tune into that. But what's better than actual F1 practice? Watching DTR racing here in Div 5 tomorrow. We're back in Hungary, yes, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to support our esports boys, the Golden Lions, we're back here tomorrow also, starting from 9 o'clock. You gotta be tuned, man. It's some exciting stuff going on here in DTR. Anyway, safety car coming in this lap, not for the promo. It's time to go here in Hungary. Obviously, no overtaking until you pass the checkered line. That Williams really pushing Donkey Dan. There ain't no team. There's no team orders here. And look at Donkey Dan using as much as he can to push Spaffis all the way. He's not trying to leave up anything, and we're on the way racing again. I think like Spaffis has got a much better drive and is broken away superbly from Donkey Dan. A great breakaway, but Perrin is on the chase. He's trying to make a move down the inside line. He's got to be careful not to make any collision here. And Perrin is so close to making that move stick. And it seems like he's moved that Alpine into P2. He's going to be careful. He's going to outside line. He's going to be careful. That is extremely close right there. And I think he's going to have to concede in order not to cause a collision there. It's an aggressive fight back from 10k, but it's worked to his favor. Moves up into P3 again. I just want to highlight what an absolute incredible start for Spaffis. It was timed to perfection and couldn't ask for more, really. Moving up basically 7/10 ahead of his competition again. It's like we're back like we never left. James Egan moves up into P8 over Afancio. I can't say his name for the life of me, bro. Jesus. It's a pretty hard name, isn't it? So. Seems like we're stagnating a bit here off this restart. Not as much action that I was anticipating, but it just takes a couple of corners, chain them well together, and boom, you're back in it. Just get a good old Gucci shot right there off the grid. Really, James Eagle looking to make that move. Really close enough to that move. Again, James Eagle versus McManaman, a fight we've seen a lot all season. Just can't get that move started. I wonder what happened with the McLarens there. Maybe I can look for any confirmation as we're on board and we stay on board with the Haas. Not chain that corner great. He's going to lose a lot of time coming out of that corner, I think, James Eagle. But a much better drive coming out of that corner. Kind of hits the sausage curve just a little bit. So not going to do him any favors there. Kate just pulling away ever so slowly from Nathaniel Perrin, down to 1.2 seconds. Seems like the race is just kind of stagnated right now. Just not a lot of movements happening, not a lot of changes about to happen anyway. Everyone has pitted, what, 15 laps remaining. Should be starting to pick up around this time. I mean, if everyone keeps a clean race, it shouldn't change as much. It's under the wet, so you never know. That's why we're stuck with James the Eagle. No man, that's a bad thing. Sector 2, that is a Alpine of Hammers. It's a DNF. Hammers is out. It's not looking good for the English today. I'm not sure if that's a a safety car incident. Doesn't seem like it is. I think it's because it's so close to the last safety car. But that's Hammers out of the session. That's the second week running. He has been out of the session. Crashed out. Seems like, anyway. And there we go, 10 remain. It's like the Hunger Games. But Donkey Dan has really cut down that time to 4/10 behind Spaffis. We're going to move on board with Donkey Dan as things are heating up for the battle of first place. Really setting some really good lap times here, Donkey Dan. Starting to reheat up. Not only the tires, but his performance. A slower drive coming out of that corner. Probably cost him a lot of time there. 5 thousandths of a second. That's a real gut killer there. And that's a pretty terrible chain corners there, and that's probably given Spaffis back his comfortable gap out in first place. Perrin 2 seconds behind 10K. That battle for podium position seems to be ever in a gloomy distance for the Alpine driver, the only Alpine driver. So, just to recap who has DNF'd, both McLarens, Billy and Kai are out. Hammers as well, just out. No safety car for that incident, but he's out of the session. And 10K closing in on his teammate as well, kind of bringing it down to under a second as well. As the top three seem to be having their own little battle commencing in these couple of laps after the restart. McManaman as well, kind of pushing down a bit, not really as what he wanted to see. These tire wears right now, everyone on those fresh 6 lap tires. Obviously the freshest is Kai, it's also the freshest in the shower right now. James the Eagle just firing tenths off, trying to attempt a move on McManaman. He's a Manaman. 15. Stav really can't find that extra bit of pace to move ahead of Perrin, and that would be a bit detrimental to his driver's championship push. The current leader in the standings before this race. After this race, as it stands, Spaffis will take first place. With around 12 laps of racing remaining. The race will finish under these wet conditions, so no need for any different strategy coming out. It doesn't seem like the rain is going to get harder at any time soon. A bit of fuel saving going on, maybe, because it seems like everyone's pace is just dropping off a bit here. A bit of a run through. Still a lot of VRS from McManaman, probably saving it for a defense, but he's under that second, probably trying to catch up to James the Eagles teammate. Stav not pushing as hard. Perrin pushing, but kind of strategically, only using the ERS push at the start of straights, tactic that he's used all season, or unless he really needs to push. But being cautious with it, not being careless. A tactical tactic. Both Red Bulls, by the way, P9, P10. We see Canuck Sus, a reserve driver, and we always thank the reserves for coming in on short notices, letting this race go ahead today. But not much to report home as of yet. We're about just over 10 laps remaining here in the Hungary. Rundown quickly of some of these penalties. No penalties on the grid as of yet. Kind of just destroyed my own logic there. But we move. James the Eagle and Kenneth Suss obviously having two stop pits due to their incidents in the beginning of the race. Obviously had to pit for new front wings. And obviously Perrin, the biggest mover right now, stands moving up from all the way from P13 up into P4. We're going to move down to James the Eagle as he's cut down that time to it was under 2/10, and he seems to have a extra bit of pace there. If he had saved a bit more ERS, probably could have made that move a lot quicker. It's a bit of a careless use of the ERS, to be honest. He's got to be careful. If he does use ERS to get a move done, he's going to have to leave that extra bit for that defense. Oh, he's gone off completely wide, and he's done well to avoid contact there. Moves underneath, and Afanciu moves down to P9, and could have been a bad accident there, and probably could have been another safety car. Does well to avoid any contact with the wall there. Good braking, but I mean, can't be that good braking. He missed the braking point, went off fully. But well, yeah, at least we've caught 2 of the incidents today. Woo, wowee. Stav 7/10 behind, and realistically the only one looking to make a move. We might see a move of James the Eagle on Afan Siu, the faster driver. We're going to go back down to that. Out of the two is doing well to keep him ahead of him. A bit of struggle there, Afan Siu ahead of him. A bit of a ferocious snapback with the car. Gotta be careful, you're not pick up any penalty points. James Eagle. Lovely overhead shot there, finally good angle of the car. Stav finding some serious pace in that Mercedes. Cutting his distance between Nathaniel to what it was down to 4/10, down all the way to 7/10. I don't know what's going on there. Telemetry's a bit cappy. Corners in it. These very tight corners making a difference here. Not been able to quite nail them as consistently as maybe only Spaffis has, and he's built that lead to 2 seconds. And it could be an absolute dominating run here from Spaffis if he keeps sick form going as it stands. Bit of action going on here with some of these cars. He is gaining on his own times here, Stav, and should be in the running to get this move done by the end of the race. He's very slow in some of these corners coming, and Perrin obviously is getting a much faster drive. Quite like this straight here. He's using ERS and is still losing time on Perrin's Alpine. Perrin obviously still having a lot of ERS, strategically holding on to it. Smart plays here from the Brit. A Brit in a French car, might I add. Not things you see every day. To give some context as well to how far everyone is from the leader. Back of the grid around 28 seconds behind our leader Spaffis, and P5 nearly 10 seconds behind our leader. Also, that's the difference between both Mercedes cars, around 10 seconds. Obviously Spaffis having quite an abysmal start to this race as well. Obviously, it's Stav having quite an abysmal start to this race. You can't lie. We've got 6 laps remaining here at Hungary. I ain't so hungry. I'm only hungry for some overtakes here at the Hungaroring. Sorry, I'm a bit sorry. There's 8 viewers as well. I'm just waffling at this point. I'm trying to entertain people because I don't think there has been any movement since any crashes. So I mean, and some little spinny spins. Perry's probably a missed opportunity by Perry that from that last restart. Having basically had completed the move, but some ferocious fight back from 10k, and then 5 seconds ahead of him now. Maybe the faster driver here on the day, maybe knows the track a bit better, but that is going to be an opportunity that he will be kicking himself for not taking. But is doing well to keep Stav ahead of behind him, and that's that's Kalistos, I think. Yeah, that's Kalistos has gone off the track. That's no front wing as well. That's big damage, and that's basically his race done and over. That's him in P10, unless some. Oh, is that a safety car? No, it's a virtual safety car. Cool beans. So a virtual safety car being called. Kalistos having that opportunity to pit. Obviously, there must be a bit of debris on track. So he needs to pit, but basically ruins his race for the day. And his teammate keeping James Eagle just at bay. See, nothing can be done so far. No overtaking is allowed. And racing is underway again. Racing is resumed. The Stav seeing a car in a better position than before. Can go on board with him now. McMahon having a 3-second time penalty. Not going to be helpful for his battle against. Could push him down all the way to P9. That penalty. Going to have to start building a bit of a gap between these cars. Obviously, everyone on the grid who is still on the grid is scoring points, which is cool for everyone, I guess. Scoring points is always nice and dandy. Would we have liked a bit more drivers on the grid? Yes. Doesn't matter though. It doesn't stop the entertainment from coming. Speaking of entertainment, Div 5 tomorrow, one of the most entertaining divisions in my opinion. You're gonna have to check it out, man. It's gonna be an absolute ball of a race. Quite generally, as well as our Pro Clubs team. Got some league matches to come and support the DTR Lions and our bid to push up in the league. Racing Ryan as well picks up a 3-second time penalty. So if David McMahon can get that move stuck, at least to stay ahead of one of the Hasses. Ooh, there's a bit of a bust up there with some of the drivers. And only Stav really here in any position to overtake. You see James the Eagle spinning out there, down to 7 seconds behind. I fancy you. Well, 2 laps remaining here at Hungary. It seems like it's going to finish how it's going to finish. Nothing more to change, nothing more to report back home to our soldiers. Stav just ever chasing that 4th place. He's out of any reach for podiums unless Spaffis just absolutely has an absolute seizure. Crashes into Donkey Dan at 10k, leaving Perrin and Stav in a 1-2. But as it stands, no seizures are happening. Everyone is fine and okay. And Spaffis, it looks like he's going to take victory and 1st place here in Division 2. Pretty epic scenes, might I add. Pretty epic stuff. And I think this, with how it stands as it is, if my maths is correct, Donkey Dan is around 15 points behind Stav in 2nd place as well. So, as it stands, it's looking like an absolute nightmare situation for Stav. The worst thing that can happen right now, he just crashes out and doesn't score points. 10k as well, 2 points behind Donkey Dan. It's all heating up in that top 4 battle. Call it the Premier League. You don't know what's going to happen. Everything is going down to the wire as it stands. I'm not sure how points are scored again because I'm a bit of a doofus. Near the end of this, Spaffis seems like he's going on an absolute tear in this division, winning last race as well. Obviously, that 1-2 with Stav coming in 2nd. We saw that Maggot coming in 3rd place. And obviously not here today. Obviously, it was a really bad showing for the Williams last week. P4 and P10. That was a big mistake from Perrin there. But we had Sector 1, we have a situation. In Sector 1, it seems like we're all good and dandy. We're still moving. That's a big mistake from Perrin and could have cost him that P4 position. He's going to have to defend for his life here. A little bit of snapback. And it's given a window of opportunity to Stav to regain 4th place. We'll keep on tabs with this. We're just going to go over to Spaffis right now. As he's got that Red Bull in between him and Donkey Dan. FSU is set down. Oh, Sector 1, we've got cars going a bit slow there. That's McManaman. Voice correct, Jesus. Spaffis, as we said, dominant performance. And now, God forbid he just decides to crash, is leading the championship. And giving a knife's edge for Donkey Dan to slice open that 1-2 Mercedes position for next race. So as it stands, we've got some pretty spicy stuff going on. And we're coming down the end of Sector 3. Just coming through the penultimate corner now. As it comes through the final corner, a dominating run, a repeat from last week in Portimao. Spaffis wins here at the Hungary ring. Donkey Dan comes in to claim 2nd place. His teammate Tankite comes in 3rd place. Perrin and Stav fighting all the way to the end. James Eagle taking a 3-second time penalty. Perrin finishes in P4 after starting at the back of the grid. A phenomenal drive from the Alpine. Stav, a nightmare horror show for him and his title hopes. Coming in P5, Racing Ryan finishes in P6. I could see Afansiu move up to P6 due to the 3-second time penalty. McManaman DNFs right at the end. I know, he seems like he's all that excitement for nothing. He's ahead. James Eagle finish out in 8th place. Unless he's generally just crashed out. Perrin gets driver of the day. Probably I'd be voting for driver of the day for him. That was a phenomenal drive, to be honest with him. So yeah, an absolute. I can't say it was the most entertaining race, but it was an important race for the likes of Spaffers and Donkey Dan. And next week, we've got a sprint race. It's Canada. It's the penultimate race of the season. And here in Div 2, it's one that goes down to the wire. It's been an absolute pleasure commentating here today, even though there were some problems. Sorry for the delays and technical problems. But there you have it. That's our grid for today. Thank you guys for watching DTR Division 2. Tomorrow we're back with Div 5 and the Pro Clubs team set to take on in the VPG League. Next week we're back with the sprint race in Canada. On Monday we've got Div 0. Tuesday we have got Div 1 and Div 4. And Wednesday we've got Div 2 and Thursday we've got Div 5. Thank you guys for watching and